This is WT4TST, and this evening we're honoured to be joined by Coach Bobby Rimmer. How are you doing, pal?
I'm very good, Will. How are you, son? You okay?
I'm very good, mate. I'm very good. I'm just looking at them pictures behind, mate. Your living room looks like a shrine to Bry.
Well, you know what it is. It's many years ago. This fella come and did a load of pictures for us, and it was belting pictures. You know what I mean? He didn't just just boxing. You know, he do obviously some boxing pictures, but I'll show them you quick. And can you see them all right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun.
I mean, you know, like me and he did one of me and Brian laughing, like, you know what I mean? So.
No, that's good, mate. That hand wrap one looks good.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah. I like pictures like that. You know, like not posy ones, like proper in action.
Yeah, like him there in the bag and that. So.
No, that's a posing one.
and that's my partner Sharon. That's her horse, Joe.
I thought you could say that's your partner.
And then that you know what? That's a pencil drawing of Ricky. Ricky.
Hey, that's good, isn't
it? Yeah. And that's a signed picture from Marco Antonio Barrero.
Yeah, that's spot on, that, mate.
Yeah, I don't have a lot. I just have the stuff off people that I respect, like, you know what I mean. So,
go on in. Give us a quick shot of your parrot, mate. Come on.
There he is, Rico.
What's he called?
Rico.
Does he talk?
Yeah, he will in a minute. He'll get going in a minute. You know what I mean? he'll be quiet now because I've just got in and I've just walked through the door. So
been training, haven't you? Right, mate. Right, let's get cracking. So, first time on TST, what we like to do is get the viewers to know you a little bit better, really. So, go back through your story. Born in Manchester.
I was born in Manchester, and I boxed myself. I boxed amateur and pro myself, and then I didn't have a lot of pro fights, and I kind of went out and done what ex-boxers normally do. Went working on the doors and security, and got myself in and out a bit of trouble and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And then I was obviously Kerry Case was a good friend of mine. We was, you know, I used to train at Kerry's gym and we was real good mates. And then Kerry, I knew Billy Graham from years and years ago, but not a lot. Just I knew his brother Joe Graham a lot more, and I knew Billy. I'd met him a couple of times and stuff like that. And then I met Billy round at Kerry's unit one day, and I've always had dogs, and Billy's always had dogs. So I ended up walking the dogs with Billy and his dogs, and then I was on the fringes of going to get a gym myself, but an amateur gym anyway. I met Billy and met Billy again, like, and was chatting. And we decided we was going to build a gym, so we built a gym on the end of Kerry Casey's gym, which was Better Bodies, a big bodybuilding gym. So on one of the annexes, we built a gym, me and Billy. And that's when I started working with Rick and all the rest of the lads. You know, when the Phoenix camp was like the hub of Manchester. You know what I mean? I mean, there was Ricky Hatton, Matthew Hatton, Michael Gomez, Anthony Farnell, Steve Foster Jr., Matthew Macklin, Paul Smith.
Something stable, isn't it?
Stevie Bell, yeah. I mean, fantastic times, you know what I mean? And I was, you know, to be fair, I was very lucky because I went straight in at the top in the Manchester boxing scene, you know what I mean? And then in 2005, after Ricky beat Costa Zoo, we kind of parted ways, me and Billy. And then I left and built my own gym with a good pal of mine called Scott Gledhill. We built a gym called Ultimate Fitness in Duckingfield. Beautiful gym, big boxing gym and everything. And then after a couple of years with that, me and Scott decided that there wasn't enough money in it for two people. And I wasn't kind of into the bodybuilding side of it. I just wanted a boxing gym. So me and Scott then parted our ways, all in friends, me and Scott, you know what I mean? And I went a little bit further down the road and built my gym then, Bobby Rimmer's Boxing Academy, which was just right at the back of my house where we was living.
Well, that's convenient.
Unbelievable how it worked out. Honestly, you wouldn't have believed it. I mean, you walked out of the... Sorry about that. You walked... Are you back? Yeah.
Yeah.
You walked out of the back door of my house, and you was in the gym.
Quality. Right, Bobby. Can we?
Brian was there. Brian Rose and Jack Armfield and Johnny Kays and Kieran Farrell. You know, all the lads was there, and it was great. You know what I mean? Belting gym. You know what I mean?
Right, Bobby. Let's rewind. Let's rewind quite a lot. Okay. So let's go to what was your childhood like, mate? I know it was many years ago.
Mate, I grew up in Beswick, didn't I? You know, like, you know, my childhood, there was 5 of us in one bedroom. Do you know what I mean? Like, mum and dad, we lived in a 2 up and 2 down in Beswick with no hot water. You had to boil a kettle to get hot water, and we had a coal fire and the toilet outside, like, you know what I mean?
You had to go outside to the toilet?
Yeah, you had to go outside to the toilet, mate. Yeah. You know, it was like really like basic, you know, it was real basic upbringing, you know what I mean? And for me, you know, I used to I started boxing at Hardwick Lads, and you know, that's where I started boxing, because there was absolutely nothing, was there? You know, kids of today have kind of got the world at their feet, haven't they? You know,
too much.
Whereas us, that all it was like, you know, the local youth club or something like that, and our local youth club was Hardwick Lads Boxing Club, and that's where I met Mr. Hayes, and Mr. Hayes became like a second father to me. He was my coach at Hardwick Lads, you know, and he was like a real second father to me, you know. A man who I still call Mr. Hayes, you know. I still call him Mr. Hayes.
That's respecting, isn't it?
It's just out and out respect, and you know, to this day, you know, I still respect him, Mr. Hayes. You know what I mean?
Right, mate. So after all that, and after your childhood and your upbringing, you ended up doing a bit of a stint on the doors, didn't you, as a doorman? Yeah. I think the question I want to know is the doorman job you used to do compared to what it's like now. What, you know, when you were doing that, Manchester it was rough, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the first door I ever worked on was a club in Manchester called Rotter's Nightclub, and but in them days, you know, doorman wasn't big. You know, there was no bodybuilders working the door and all that, and you know, doorman in them days, you had to fight a little bit, because, you know, there was no go to the police and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It was proper working on the door. You didn't have a door safe badge and stuff like that, and you know, you weren't allowed to push people around and all that. I mean, you had to have a fight. You had to be able to actually have a fight. You know what I mean? So, I remember at Rotters, what they used to do was on a Saturday night, they used to invite stag parties in.
Right.
So you'd go on the door and you'd look, and you might have 10 stag parties in of 30 lads, you know what I mean? And you used to think to yourself, for fuck's sake, you know what I mean? You know, and they all had to pay a £5 bond. And if one of them got through out, they didn't get any of the bond money back. So you can imagine the trouble at the end of the night when they was all trying to get the money back, and one of them had got through out. There was no chance, you know what I mean? So it was like very lively, like, you know what I mean? But it was good, you know. It was a great way of growing up, you know what I mean?
My imagination, right, you know, because I watch a lot of like gangster films and stuff. So my imagination will run wild when you're talking about Manchester back in the day, right? When you're talking about gangland and all this stuff. Do you being on the door in that kind of environment, does your life ever cross into that world slightly then, or not?
Well, obviously, because like I was friends with a lot of them lads. I was friends with a lot of the lads from Cheetham Mill and the lads from Moss Side, you know what I mean? Real good friends with them. And, you know, because a lot of the kids in them days, we all boxed together, do you know what I mean? And we all kind of grew up together. And so obviously, you know, you might have a lot of lads from Moss Side, and then the Cheetham Mill lads turned up. So the diplomacy had to be like on full alert that night, you know what I mean?
You're stood in the middle.
Yeah, but because they knew you, and we all knew each other, it was kind of all right, you know what I mean? It was like, it wasn't so bad, do you know what I mean?
So some people in that kind of time knew you as your name, Bobby Rimmer, yeah? So yeah. What's the gangster of love? What does that mean to you?
That's Ricky Hatton, that. He called me the gangster of love.
He used to call me I don't know why, the gangster of love and the thief of hearts for some reason. You know what I mean? But I've never stole anybody's heart and I've never been a gangster of love, you know what I mean? So not at my age now, I'm 61 now, you know what I mean? So maybe 30 years ago, yeah, but not now, do you know what I mean? But it's just, you know, with Ricky and all the lads, when we was all in that Phoenix camp together, you know, it was an absolutely unbelievable time. You know, it was so funny and we had so many laughs. I mean, everybody went to work, obviously, and they grafted hard, but we used to have so many laughs, you know what I mean? And the things that used to go on in that gym was absolutely unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? You know, I remember doing a load of rounds on the body belt with him, and they went, "Oh, you've done a great job there, Bob." Like, you know what I mean? Well done. And it was all made up, like, you know what I mean? And then I went in the showers to get a shower, and they put all my clothes in the shower and turned the shower on my clothes. The bastards, you know what I mean? It was all that kind of stuff went on, like unbelievable stuff.
When you have times like that, though, do you then, further on down your career, do you try and recreate that type of camaraderie, I guess?
No, I don't think you can. I don't think you can. I mean, I've been very lucky that all the boxers, I've always been very hands-on with my boxers. You know, I've been kind of more than a trainer to them, you know what I mean? So it just happens. You know, you've got to be careful in boxing gyms because you can have all your lads training there, then a new lad will come in and he'll upset the apple cart, you know what I mean? So it's like you have to be careful who comes in the gym and who comes out, you know, and who goes out of the gym and stuff. Do you know what I mean? So, but no, you know, I've always had a laugh with the boxers and I've always enjoyed it. But we always worked hard as well, like, you know what I mean? So,
so 2003.
Yep.
I've got your life was probably turned a bit upside down. Talk to us about that, Bobby.
Well, yeah. What happened was, so I'm just going to plug this phone in, mate. It's got a charge going.
All right.
Well, what happened? I was in Manchester Town Centre on St Patrick's Day. No, I've got it wrong.
St George's Day.
St George's Day, and we was out, and Blackburn was playing against. Who was they playing against? Newcastle. Blackburn was playing Newcastle. So we're all out on St George's Day. We're all out in Manchester Town Centre. We'd all been to this St George's Day do. Everything's great. And then in Manchester Town Centre, there was a load of Geordies there, a load of Newcastle kids. Anyway, we was in a pub called the Sawyer's Arms. So we're all in the Sawyer's Arms. We're all having a drink. And I came out of the Sawyer's Arms and I walked up the road and I went to the cash machine and this kid followed me to the cash machine. So we went back in. You know, and we went back in and my mate went, he's just followed you. You know, and I went and I think I got 250 quid out of the cash machine. Had a few quid in them days, you know what I mean? And anyway, he's come over to me, this kid, and he's gone, yeah, lad, get me a pint. I went, what are you talking about? He said, come on, get us a pint. So anyway, one thing led to another, and I ended up banging him, you know what I mean? And then I ended up banging this other kid, and we ended up all spilling out onto Deansgate. Sorry, mate.
All right. Right, we're back with Bobby Rimmer. You were just saying you'd all spilled out on the Dean.
So it's all spilled out onto Deansgate. And believe it or not, my solicitor is called Brian Kaufman. And he told me the story after, and he said, he was looking out the window and he seen me fighting in the middle of the street.
What, so your solicitor saw all that happening?
Yeah, he seen it all happening. He actually seen the fight taking place in the street. And he said, one of his clerks was called Madeline. And he said to Madeline, he said, you know, we're going to be busy, aren't we? Look at him down there. And they both was watching me out the window. And it was mad because this kid threw a chair, it hit me right on the head. This chair, bang, split all my head open. And then I've ended up getting away, like, and all the police sirens, and you can hear dogs and all that, because it's like a big battle zone in the middle of the street facing the Sawyer's Arms. And I ended up on King Street. So I've ended up with my arm on this window at this jeweller's, this watches place. I've got my head on my arm like that, as if I'm looking in the window. And then it all kind of went a bit quiet, and I thought, oh, I've got away with this. And he went, "Excuse me, mate, can you turn round?" And I turned round and it was these two coppers. And you know what I said to him? "It's all right, mate, I don't want to press charges." We both bang, bang, bang in the back of the, you know what I mean? Anyway, like a dickhead, I got 15 and a half months. So Ricky fought Vince Phillips. And then I did the corner with Rick, and then he fought Vince Phillips, and then I went to jail. And then I came back out of jail.
How long after you were in the corner to then you went down then?
Yeah, I did the corner with Rick for the Vince Phillips fight. Was it the Vince Phillips fight? I think so. And then after that, I went to prison. But
what, the day after or something?
That it can't have been the Vince Phillips fight, can it? No, I can't remember. Anyway, I was in the corner with Rick for one fight, and then I come out and I was on a tag. So they let me do the corner for the next fight, and I still had my tag on doing the corner.
That's no. What was prison like for you then? Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you ended up was it in Strangeways or Manchester?
Yeah,
prison?
Strangeways first.
Yeah.
But yeah, I only got 15 and a half months, so I think I only did about 3 months and something. But I was in Strangeways first, and believe it or not, it was like a breeze because I seen all my mates I'd not seen for years. And it sounds really mad. I just laughed my way through it, you know. And then I was in there for I mean, prison's a lot worse now than it was then. You know what I mean? 2003. But I was in Strangeways for about a month, and then I got shipped off to Sudbury, you know, the open prison.
Right. Okay. Didn't Ricky Hatton come in and see you?
Yeah, Rick came and see me. Yeah, and Billy Graham and Kerry.
I bet that were mad for everyone sat around. You know, they might not know who you are. You sat there, right? And then Ricky Hatton comes in at the time when he was massive.
I mean, Rick's been a superstar in Manchester, hasn't he? You know what I mean? So yeah, Rick came and all that, and then. But it was mad because I was like, I'd worked the corner, and then I think it was a week later I got sent to jail. But I'd had the trouble a year before. It wasn't like I worked the corner and then, you know, so I'd had the trouble like a year before, you know what I mean? So, I like I say, I worked the corner. It was about a week later and I went to jail. But I think the fight, I'd have to have a look, but Rick won and got a bad cut. So I was, while I was in jail, he didn't fight and he fought when I come out. So I worked his corner again then, you know what I mean? But yeah, you know,
it's a funny thing though, isn't it? Like, you know, you sat in prison and Ricky Hatton comes in.
Yeah, it was mad. I mean, we was all sat in the holding room waiting to go out, and your visitors come and they go, and then people was coming in going, "Fucking hell, Ricky Hatton's out there. Who's he waiting for?" I didn't say out, you know what I mean? I thought, I'm not going to say me, and it might be someone else, you know what I mean?
Yeah, goes to see his mate.
You know what I mean? But you know, in prison and all that, you can't start being a name dropper and all that in prison, you know what I mean? So. But like I say, a lot of the people I mean, when I went in Strangeways, I was in the induction when you first go in, and this one of this screws behind the desk, he went, "Have you been here before?" And I said, "No." He went, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I've not been in here before." He said, "I know you from somewhere." He said, I'm sure you've been in here before." And I went, No, I've not been here before. And then one of the prisoners come through and went, "Man, there's Bobby Rimmer was on the telly last week." And the screw went, "What the fuck are you doing in here?" I said, "Well, it happened months ago, like, you know what I mean?" And, you know, and I just said to him, "Where's the bin?" He said, "What for?" I said, "My lucky tie." I had my lucky tie, you know what I mean? And he went, "Yeah, with these." And there was about 10 lucky ties in the bin.
Right, mate. Let's move on from them days. Let's go on to the Brian Rose days. So, listen, you two have had some brilliant nights together. Yeah. What's been your best night with Brian?
I think I've had some great nights with Brian. You know what I mean? And they've all been different. I mean, when he first won the British title, when he beat Prince Aaron, and
he was never expected to do that, was he?
No, and I don't know why. Because, you know, months previous, we'd sparred Prince Aaron, and Brian had done really well against him, you know what I mean? Boxed really, you know, we sparred him quite a bit, and Brian did really, really well against him, you know what I mean? So
Brian was when they offered us that fight, it was mad because Brian was getting ready to defend his English title against Eric Ochieng. Remember Eric the Eagle Ochieng?
Yeah.
Brian was getting ready to defend his title to that, and Prince Adam was looking for an opponent. And I said to Brian, "What? Be careful here, mate. I think they might offer us this Prince Adam fight," and they did. So we had to have a week off because we'd been training like 6 or 7 weeks to fight Eric Ochieng, and then Frank Maloney offered us the Prince Adam fight. And you know what? I never even thought about it. I just went, yeah, we'll have it. We'll have that. No problem. And I always, I always knew Brian was going to beat him. I always knew Brian was going to beat him. And Brian beat him, didn't he? You know what I mean? And he beat him quite convincingly, you know what I mean? But I'll never forget Phil Edwards give it Prince Adam that night. You have a look at the judges scoring. Phil Edwards give it Prince Adam. And the other two judges give it Brian like 5 and 6 rounds. You know what I mean?
Mate, I think scoring has become a real big debate anyway now, hasn't it? Every fight at the moment there seems to be some debate about judges and the way that they score it or the way that they prefer stuff. It's just becoming a bit of a joke, isn't it?
Terrible, isn't it? I mean, not just in England though. I mean, all over the world you see it, don't you? So it's some outrageous decisions, and I don't know what it is. Well, I mean, should they have somebody who's in charge of them, and when they do a bad decision like that, who they have to go and, I've always thought that if they have somebody who's in charge of all the referees, and then, if two judges give it massively for one kid and another judge gives it the other kid, well, I think that judge should have to go and sit with his person, watch that fight back and explain why he's done that.
Well, they reckon that they do. So, yeah, I forget. I think it was Terry O'Connor a few weeks ago, wasn't it, where they thought he'd seen him on his mobile phone or whatever. And then apparently it wasn't. And then they go through to Bob Williams and he sits in front of them and they explain it all. But they're back on the cards. I mean, I don't know, mate. I think that's probably one for someone else to worry about, mate.
Understand that it's very objective and it's how you see it in it. You know what I mean? I get that. But we all know when someone's won the fight, if it's not a close fight, and some of them are not, are they? And they still give it the other kid.
Well, it's like, I'll give you an example. What was it, 2 weekends ago? The Lyndon and Arthur fight? Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm just scoring it because I think I know what I'm talking about, right? I scored Lyndon Arthur heavily beating Yard, but one of the refs had it absolutely the opposite way. Sorry, not refs. One at judge.
See, we live in suspicious times, don't we? So you think there's something, it's that bad, the decision. You think something's going on, don't you?
Yeah, you do. Right, mate. So we got that. Well, let's go on to. So I've spoke to both Brian and Jack, and I know you're all friends now, but it was quite heated at the time. I just want to ask you what happened on that weigh-in. What went through your head when you went for Jack?
You know what it is. I don't know what it is, but I'm always at my worst at the weigh-in.
What, pressure or?
I don't know. Yeah, I'm always at weigh-ins. I'm always hyped up. Do you know what I mean? And you know that fight, it was a bad thing from the word go. Do you know what I mean? I mean, the kids I train, I think a lot of them. You know what I mean? And I love them. You know what I mean? And I look out for them. And it was like I've got two sons, Robert and Anthony, and it was like them two going to have a fight. You know what I mean? And from the word go, when the fight got announced, I didn't fancy it. I didn't want it. You know what I mean? And Jack had left me and gone to Mike Jennings, and and it just got to me. You know what I mean? And I was disappointed with myself afterwards. I'd reverted back to my old days. You know what I mean? How I used to be in the past, like, you know what I mean? And I thought I'd changed a little bit. You know what I mean?
On the doors.
Yeah. It was just a bad thing, you know what I mean? It was just a bad thing, and it was just, my actions was ridiculous. I shouldn't have done it, you know what I mean? But you could tell by the fight. I mean, it's one of the worst fights I've ever watched.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to be there to calm your bride down.
You down.
Right. Anyway.
Can't help your makeup sometimes, you know what I mean? And I mean, we're all mates now, and I speak to Jack, and everything's great, like, you know what I mean? So
yeah, listen, he said the same. He was speaking really highly of you. He said it was just one of them things, and you know. But I just thought,
you know what I mean?
yeah, I just wanted to hear your side because I just, you know, when you rewatch that, I watched it a few weeks ago, and it was just like you were just ready to launch, mate.
Respect to Kurt, he got the worst, didn't he? Because he fell through the thing at the back, didn't he?
At the back. How did you link up with Rampage Jackson come about then?
Well, 10, 11 years ago, I was training in the gym, training Brian and the lads. And Rampage was over there training. His manager was called Anthony McGann. And his son's Jack McGann, you know, the boxer?
Yeah.
His son's Jack McGann.
Right, okay.
I'd never had anything to do with MMA, mixed martial arts. It was just all boxing for me. And I think it was Kerry Kay said to me that Rampage Jackson's looking for a boxing coach, and Anthony McGann's asked him for someone because Kerry knows Anthony really well. So he put my name forward. Now I looked. I didn't know who Rampage Jackson was. And I looked on my phone, I just put it in, and it come up that he was an actor and all that. And I thought, fuck that, you know what I mean? I didn't know it was a serious thing. Does that make sense? Because I didn't have anything to do with MMA whatsoever. I didn't watch it or anything. And then, believe it or not, they came down with him to meet me. And he just got off a plane. He just got off the plane and come straight to meet me. And I was on the body belt with Brian when they walked in. It was like hell for leather, you know what I mean? Like I was doing like 10 rounds on the body belt with Brian or whatever. And I was really busy with all the boxers because we had a full gym of boxers. And I sat down talking to him and he fell asleep. You know, fucking fell asleep. I thought, see? Yeah. I was talking to him and he went, well, I fell asleep.
Bobby, is that feedback for you?
Yeah, really exciting. This fella, you know what I mean. But anyway, and then I looked again on the internet and I seen all his knockouts and all that, and I thought, wow, he can have a fight, this fella. You know what I mean? So then I was working with him for a few weeks here, and then we went over to Chicago, and I worked in the cage with him in Chicago, and then on and off, I've worked with him a lot. In the last 3 years, I worked with him a hell of a lot, like, you know what I mean?
You went over there for a bit, didn't you? You stayed over there for quite a while. Yeah,
I've been over a lot. You know, I've been over a lot working with him, you know, going over to California. You know, like I go like 12 weeks at a time. Nice
for the tan, mate. Better than Blackpool.
Well, yeah. Someone told me move to Blackpool. The weather's lovely. They're just liars, aren't they? Do you know what I
mean? We'll move on to that because I always thought Brian took you to Blackpool, but actually, it was. Tell us a story about where you found love. Come on.
I'll tell you what happened. Brian said to me one day in the gym. He said, "You know, he's very sneaky, Brian. Sometimes, you know what I mean." And so he said to me one day, "Hi, mate. You know what you doing this after training?" So I said, "Nothing. Why?" He said, "Oh, there's a young lad in Blackpool who's not too well. Pretty ill, like, you know what I mean? And his mum's been on the phone. He's a big fan of mine and yours." And I went, "Mate, you're going to ask me to don't start telling lies, you know what I mean?" "Oh, no, he's a big fan of mine and yours, like, you know what I mean?" He said, and she wants us to, if we can go and see him. He's in Withenshaw Hospital and he's really sick, like, can you come in and see him, like?" So I went, yeah, well, definitely, you know what I mean? I'll come with you. Anyway, so we went. After training, we went to Withenshaw Hospital and to see this young lad called Danny. He has sick. Your picture's froze there, mate. Hello. Oh,
hey, you're back. Yeah, back.
Yeah. So he said we go and see this kid called Danny. He's got cystic fibrosis and lungs collapsed, and he's not very well, like. So I said, yeah, no worries. Anyway, so we got belts and all that. Meet his mum at the hospital.
and he's meet his mum out at the hospital ward, and we go in with the belts and surprise him, you know, we cheer him up. So like I go through my old rigmarole and tell him about what it's like, and we have a laugh at the gym. Anyway, I got chatting to Danny's mum, and I ended up meeting Sharon, and then Sharon became my partner. She just walked through the doors after me.
I could, Bobby, I could tell because you kept looking behind yourself.
So Sharon became my partner, and the rest is history, like, you know what I mean. So after Brian's fight in New York, I moved in with Sharon. All
right. Very good, mate. Very good. It's one of them. It's one of them fate things, though, isn't it? Unless Brian's been a matchmaker.
Yeah. I think I won her over with me animal magnetism and charm. You know what I mean? So.
Not your pigeons, then, no.
No, the pigeons are in the back garden. No, don't worry about that.
I saw Brian taking piss out of you a bit ago, probably a couple of weeks ago. I think you turned up in your car and you had like what he called a surfboard on top, but it were a pigeon homing thing, wasn't it?
Pigeon box, yeah, that's what we.
Right, that's it for us then, Bob. Apart from we like to finish with a few questions from the followers. So I've got a couple of questions for you, if that's all right. Jimmy T wants to know, I'll read it as they wrote it. Will you and Brian ever take the ring together as fighter and coach?
Yes.
Well, that was that was a quick boom. We'll leave it there and watch this space. Frank wants to know, do you have any regrets?
Yeah. My biggest regret in boxing is falling out with Jack Armfield. And running on that stage that day. That's my biggest regret. If there was something I could have in boxing, I could erase. That's what I'd do. I'd erase that.
No, that's a good one, mate. And Danny says your son is now following in your footsteps as a coach. Do you think that you inspired him?
I like to think I did, yeah. You know, but Rob used to come in the gym with us, and you know, he used to come in the gym when, you know, the gym was full of the great fighters from Manchester, Ricky Hatton and everybody, you know what I mean? So, you know, Rob's his own man, Rob. Rob's his own man, you know what I mean? He very stands on his own 2 feet, you know what I mean? So, I'd like to think I've inspired him, you know, and, you know, I'm so proud of that lad. You know, I'm proud of all my kids. I love all my kids, you know. I'm proud of them all. They're all achieving different things. But it's nice that Rob's kind of following in my footsteps, you know, as a boxer.
Yeah, mate. No.
And you know what? He's doing really well. He's got a belting stable there. I mean, when I left Manchester and came up here, Rob took over in the gym, like, you know what I mean? And you know, it's Rob's gym out right now. You know, you know, if he ever wants any advice off me, he'll ask me. You know, but he's not. You know, I'm not that kind of dad that goes, listen, do this and do that and do that. You know what I mean? I'll give him advice when he asks, and I'll do the corner with him when he wants me to do the corner with him. You know what I mean? And
you give him the platform, haven't you? You've given him the platform.
Yeah, and it's great. You know, it's great to see him carrying it on, and you know, he's had a couple of rocky roads in it, like, but he's doing well now. You know, he's got Jack Massey, he's got Jack Massey and Charlie Schofield and Josh Holmes, and he's got a couple of other kids. That Billy, I don't know his second name. I'm sorry about that. You know what I mean? But he's got a belting little stable growing there now, and he's really doing well. I'm really pleased for him.
Good stuff. And this is the last question, mate. And this is the most important thing I've asked you all night. Right? You ready for this?
Yep.
What are your top 3 chocolate bars?
My top 3 chocolate bars are.
You've took it right serious. Most people.
Oh, mate, listen. Some things you've got to be serious about, haven't you? You know what I mean? You can't mess about with some things. It's got to be Cadbury's fruit and nut. Mate, I can polish one of them big giant blocks of that off, no problem. Do you know what I mean? So you've got to go for that. And I like Whispers. Whispers are good. And Crunchies.
Crunchies, the first time we've had a crunchy on here.
Oh,
crunchy.
Mate, yeah.
Crunchy enters the arena.
You take your time with them a little bit, can't you? Then bite the chocolate off and all that. You know what I mean?
I think for some reason, they remind me of Christmas. I don't know why. It's probably because you get one in a selection box every time.
Yeah, but what you're probably right. Yeah, but mate, it's Christmas every time you get a crunchy, innit? That's obviously.
Bobby,
but mate, I just want to tell everybody something. You know, when I had the heart attack 2 years ago, and I've not struggled with it, but it's been a bit, you know, it's done me head in a little bit. You know what I mean? And I was contemplating retiring and all that. You know what I mean? And saying, right, that's it. But I can't do it. You know what I mean? So obviously I'm still with Brian and I'm loyal to Brian, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, what I'm going to put it out there, that when Brian does retire and he calls it a day, we're going to go working as a team and we're going to train we're going to build our own team together. So
that'd be fantastic, man. I mean, the camaraderie you two have, honestly, it's brilliant. It's like, I want to say it's like father and son, but it's more like just take the piss out of each other all the time.
You know what, mate? You know, he's drove me around the bend at times. You know, listen, he's got a certain way of driving you around the bending, mate. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I could sit here all night, Will, and tell you stories about how forgetful he is and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? And I'll give you the quick one before we finish. So we're in the gym, and it's about a week before a fight. So he says to me, I'm doing the body belt, the last hard day on the body belt. So it's 16 rounds on that body belt, and it's not an easy thing, you know what I mean? So he said to me in the morning, mate, what we're doing after the body belt? I said, I'm doing nothing. I'm going to sit here and just relax. And he went, mate, I've got to take some tickets to Preston. Can you take me? Now think about this now. We're in Duckingfield. We do the body belt in the afternoon, so we've got to go to Preston through all the traffic on a Friday afternoon, because he should have dropped these tickets off weeks ago and he's not done it. So I said to him, yeah, all right, as soon as we finish the body belt, we'll do it. So I said to him in the day, have you got the tickets? He went, yeah. So have you got the tickets for this fella? He went, of course I've got the tickets. What are you on about? Of course I've got them. So I said, right. So we finished the body belt. I don't even have a shower. You know what I mean? I get a strip off, put some dry clothes on. I smelt like a ferret, you know what I mean? So we get in the car and we drive to Preston through all the traffic. We get to the place and we get out of the car and he walks from round his side of the car to me and he goes, mate, we're going to have to hug this one out. So I went, what are you talking about? He said, I forgot the tickets.
So did you hit him or did you hug him?
No, mate, listen, no matter what I say about Brian Rose, he was too fast and too quick for me, mate, wasn't he? I just don't think I spoke to him all the way home. I was absolutely wounded. But there's loads of them. Do you know what I mean? There's tons of them. But that's what makes him Brian Rose, you know what I mean? You know, that's what makes him Brian Rose. We'll
finish there. Bobby Rimmer, thank you very much for your time. We'll speak again soon. Good luck with everything.
Cheers, Will. Thanks, mate. Have a good Christmas, mate. Thanks.
Enjoy your crunchy, mate. See you later.
See you later, mate. Bye-bye.